Law 12. Use selective honesty and generosity to disarm your victim is one of the most subtle yet potent strategies in the pursuit of power. It revolves around the idea of manipulating perceptions by employing acts of calculated honesty and generosity to lull people into a false sense of security. In a world where everyone is on guard, anticipating deceit or manipulation, a well-timed display of honesty or a generous act can be disarming. It can lower people's defenses and make them more vulnerable to your influence and control. By appearing transparent and benevolent, you create an opening to manipulate their emotions, motives, and actions to suit your long-term objectives. Selective honesty is particularly powerful because it is unexpected. Most people are conditioned to expect self-interest in others, especially in high-stakes or competitive environments. When you provide a moment of genuine seeming truth, it can break down the barriers of suspicion and mistrust. People will be less likely to question your motives, thinking that your candor reflects a deeper integrity. But selective honesty should be used carefully. It is not about being truthful all the time, but about strategically choosing the moments where the truth, or a version of it, serves your larger purpose. This truth should reveal just enough to make others feel comfortable, but never so much that it compromises your own position. One of the most effective ways to deploy selective honesty is by admitting a small weakness or flaw. This makes you appear more human, relatable, and trustworthy. When you show vulnerability, others are more likely to lower their guard because they believe they are seeing the real you. This can be a powerful manipulation tactic because people often equate vulnerability with authenticity. Once you've earned their trust with this display of honesty, you can exploit that trust for your own ends. The key is to ensure that the vulnerability you display is controlled and calculated, never revealing anything that could genuinely harm your position. Generosity is another disarming tool that works on a similar principle. Human beings are wired to respond positively to acts of kindness or altruism. When you offer something of value, whether it be money, time, resources, or opportunities, it creates a sense of obligation in the recipient. People feel indebted to those who have helped them, and this sense of indebtedness can be leveraged to your advantage. By making others feel that they owe you something, you subtly control them without ever appearing coercive. Generosity, in this sense, is not about charity or selflessness. It is a strategic investment that can yield significant returns in the form of loyalty, influence, and future favors. It's important to understand that selective generosity does not mean giving indiscriminately. The generosity you show must be carefully targeted toward those whose loyalty or support you seek to cultivate. It can be a way to win over enemies, neutralize threats, or strengthen alliances. For example, a well-timed gift or favor to a rival can soften their hostility, making them less inclined to oppose you. Similarly, offering something valuable to a subordinate or colleague can create a sense of gratitude and loyalty, ensuring that they will remain in your corner when you need them. The key is to ensure that your generosity always serves your larger goals, not just your ego or desire to be liked. Selective honesty and generosity can also be used in combination to create an even stronger effect. When people see you as both honest and generous, they are far more likely to let down their guard and accept your influence. This combination works because it plays on two powerful psychological needs: the need to trust others and the desire to reciprocate kindness. By satisfying both of these needs, you can create a powerful bond of loyalty or obligation, which can then be leveraged to achieve your aims. However, as with all power strategies, there is an element of risk in using selective honesty and generosity. If your motives become too obvious or your generosity feels insincere, people may begin to question your true intentions. This is why subtlety is crucial. Your actions must feel organic, not calculated. People should believe that your honesty is a natural extension of your character, and that your generosity comes from a place of genuine goodwill. If you overplay your hand, people will see through the ruse, and your efforts will backfire. Instead of disarming your target, you may provoke suspicion and resistance. Another layer to this law is recognizing when to pull back. If you are too generous or too honest, you risk undermining your own power by making others too comfortable. They may begin to take you for granted, seeing your kindness as a weakness to exploit rather than a strength to respect. To avoid this, you must always maintain an element of unpredictability. Just as you use selective honesty, you must also be selective in your generosity, ensuring that others never quite know where they stand with you. This keeps them off balance, ensuring that they remain reliant on your favor and never fully secure in their own position. One of the most powerful ways to employ this law is when you are in a position of weakness or vulnerability. When you are at a disadvantage, acts of honesty or generosity can be especially disarming. People will be inclined to trust you because they perceive that you have little to gain from deceit. By presenting yourself as humble, transparent, and giving in moments when you appear to have no reason to be, you can completely neutralize potential threats or opponents. They will be far less likely to attack someone they see as honest and benevolent, even if that person is slowly maneuvering behind the scenes to gain an advantage. Moreover, selective honesty and generosity can be used to build an image of yourself as a fair and trustworthy leader. If you are in a position of authority, showing occasional acts of honesty or generosity can help solidify your reputation as someone who can be trusted and respected. People are drawn to leaders who appear to have integrity and a sense of fairness, even if that image is carefully constructed and not entirely accurate. By crafting a reputation for honesty and generosity, you create a reservoir of goodwill and trust that you can draw upon when needed. In the world of power, perceptions are everything. People's actions are driven not by reality, but by their perceptions of reality. By carefully manipulating these perceptions through selective honesty and generosity, you can shape how others see you and, consequently, how they act toward you. This is not about being dishonest or manipulative for the sake of it, but about understanding that power is rarely obtained or maintained through brute force or constant deception. Often, the most powerful moves are the ones that seem to go against the usual rules of power, acts of kindness, honesty, and transparency that disarm others, making them more pliable and easier to control. In conclusion, Law 12. Use selective honesty and generosity to disarm your victim is about using the unexpected to create a sense of trust and security in those you wish to influence. By strategically choosing moments to be honest or generous, you can lower people's defenses, making them more susceptible to your influence. This law is not about being truthful or kind for its own sake, but about using these qualities as tools to further your own goals. When used correctly, selective honesty and generosity can be some of the most effective strategies for gaining and maintaining power, creating a dynamic in which others are disarmed by your apparent openness and generosity, while you quietly pull the strings from behind the scenes.